Welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you're having good luck with your gardening and all of your projects. And without further ado, let's get to today's project. This is part 2 of the homemade quick detach forklift. So this is just a mock-up for the blades there. Those aren't actually welded together or hooked onto anything. So among some of the scrap metal I got a bunch of these really thick blades. And it says Caterpillar on them. And I'm guessing they're maybe they're blades from an earth mover, something like that, replaceable blades. These are not really worn down very much, so they didn't get used much. They've just been sitting around for many, many years. That didn't work. I just touched it, it fell over. So, just over a 1/2 inch thick steel. And my goodness, this stuff is hard to cut. I had a heck of it. It probably took me 20 minutes to cut through this, just this one, and then another 20 minutes for that one. And I was using my big steel chop saw. Now this one works using friction. I wish I had one that had like a steel blade on it, probably work better. But you know, this is like a giant disc, angle iron disc, angle grinder disc. So there's a normal angle grinder disc, and there's that. There's some brand new ones back there, but yeah, it literally took 20 minutes to cut through one of those suckers. So they got to be super hardened. So I imagine they'll make really good forklift blades. They're very hard. They're hard to cut. I'll get to put my welder to the test as far as welding. My welder can weld up to a 1/2 inch thick steel, but right now we're running 030 wire. So we're gonna have to cut a large chunk out of this in order to weld it onto the blades there. These are no joke. I've got a whole bunch of these. Some of them are broken in half, and some of them are 8 inches on one end and then 3 inches on the other. So I'm guessing there's some kind of blade for an earth mover. They look too small to be replaceable blades for a bucket, but what do I know? They're very old and they're very heavy. This probably is going to add 100 pounds to this. And when I was looking at ones you can buy at the store online, they're like 300 to 500 pounds and anywhere from $600 to $1,200. So I'm pretty happy with that. This is all scrap metal. So my plan is, if I can pick this up, it's hot. My angle grinder broke on me, so I have to go get another one. It seemed like the angle grinder was cutting through it a little bit easier because it has a thinner blade. So my thought is I'm going to cut 3/4 of the way through this and then hammer it over to make a 90-degree angle on it so it can hook over the top of this. So we got this all welded together now. So originally, in the video you guys saw yesterday, this piece here went over and down like that. So I cut it off and then pushed it back up against here and welded it across, and then welded this all. These are probably 3/4 of an inch thick welds all the way down here. That Miller welder is fantastic. When you get that thing plugged into 240 and you give it the beans, it will weld really thick steel. It was actually, I had to turn it down at one point because it was melting through this nearly 1/2 inch thick plate. So it does a great job. My plasma cutter, on the other hand, I have 2 plasma cutters. I have this old Forney. It does not work any longer. There's some kind of gasket inside that blew out. So as soon as you plug an air hose in, it starts blasting air out the bottom. And then we have the Miller that I bought specifically for the CNC plasma table, and it will not cut through that stuff either. I mean, I'm sure if you held it there for an hour and moved 1/4 of an inch an hour, it would probably cut through it, but this works better for light gauge steel. And it works fantastic for the CNC plasma table, and especially when you turn it up to 240 volts, it'll fly through it. So I guess tomorrow I'll get a new Black & Decker. This thing's toast. I took it apart and I got it to work a little bit longer, but now it just, oh, yeah. that's about the best we got out of it. So that sucker's no good. Maybe I can take it apart and look at the switch. Maybe the switch is broken actually on the inside, but it does make a really weird sound. And when I took it apart, the electric motor on the inside looked like it was pretty worn down and it was pretty burned up. So yeah, I guess it's time for a new one. I've had that one for probably 8 or 10 years, so I got a lot of use out of it. So anyways, those are my thoughts on what I'm going to do with this. So the blades are going to hang up here on the top, so all the weight will be supported here, and then at the bottom will be a 90-degree corner which will push into the frame itself. And then I made it smooth, and I'll probably cut notches in every so often, that way so I can adjust the width of the forks on here. I measured one of the pallets I had laying around here, and it was 4 feet deep, so these are 4 feet long, so they'll just go underneath the pallet, no problem. And I think it was 3, oh gosh, I don't remember now. I'm not going to throw out any numbers, I'll be wrong. These are heavy, oh my goodness. Just that one piece right there, that's 20 inches long. It's got to weigh, that's probably 20 pounds. It is so hard and so heavy. So hopefully those don't break or bend when we're picking stuff up. The tractor doesn't have as much, capacity as, say, like a real forklift. So we're not picking up pallets of concrete or pallets of cinder blocks or anything like that. It's mainly so we can pick up small things, and then what I'm focusing on is probably the grow beds when we go to move these, rather than dump them all out and drag them down into the pit. We should be able to pick them up with a forklift and carry them over there. And that will make things a little bit easier for me, and easy on the old back once I get all this stuff fabricated together. I'm not sure how strong the welds are going to be when I make the 90 degrees from the horizontal to the vertical, but I'm going to take out as much material as I can. That way, even if it takes me an hour to fill back in, at least it's a solid filled weld, and it should have good penetration. And I think with the miller, we can turn that sucker up and give it the beans. So we'll get to test it out on full blast. I think, what's the maximum setting on there? It's like 3/8. So not quite half an inch, but we can go all the way full blast on that thing. And we'll probably have to adjust the speed of the wire feed too, because it's probably going to eat a lot of wire, but we'll have to see. Let's see if my gloves will even last that long. It's probably going to melt my gloves. It's going to be super hot. Super duper hot. So those are my thoughts. And don't copy me. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm probably going to get somebody hurt if you try to do what I'm doing. This is super crazy. Oh my gosh, that thing right there. Taking that on and off while I was measuring and adding things to it, it was not easy. And if you're wondering what this is right here, that's because this was part of the metal brake that I was building, and this is where a hinge was. So that's why it's cut out like that. I figured I'd just leave it like that. It's no big deal. There's another one down here on the left side here. Maybe later I'll fill that in, but I don't think it's necessary. The metal is very thick, and I don't see that being an issue as far as torquing or anything like that. It should be pretty sturdy. And hopefully by this time tomorrow night we have a forklift. But we'll see. We'll see what we can come up with. Like I said, I gotta go get a new angle. I keep wanting to call it an angle iron. Angle grinder. This is angle iron. That's angle iron. Angle grinder. Keep getting them mixed up. Been outside working on this for too long. The sun's starting to set behind the mountains right now, and it's getting chilly, so I'm gonna call it quits. So if you guys have any questions or comments, pop those down below. Give us a thumbs up, and as always, keep building and try to be good to each other. Some of us aren't here for very long, and a little bit of kindness will go a long ways. So God bless you all, and peace.